Welcome to a new episode of the Seriously in Business podcast. Today we are chatting with a special guest, all things website design and Showit in particular. If you are considering which website platform you want to use, maybe you're already using one, maybe you don't love that, or maybe you're starting out from scratch, we chat through a couple of things around some different website platforms and particularly why and when Showit might be a good choice for you. For those of you who don't know, I have recently redone my whole website. I had been on Squarespace for 10 years, still recommend Squarespace for some particular businesses, but I had switched to Showit recently and I wanted to share with you, I guess, a little bit of why that was and some things to really think about and to know some of the pros, some of the cons, and also share with you, I guess, what it looked like for me to use a template and why I totally recommend that. So our guest is Emma Troy. Emma is a website designer and she has a set of templates that I purchased from her and it was a game changer for me. Like, I don't think I would have been able to design my website and it would look nothing incredible like it does now. Just head to whitedeer.com.au if you want to have a bit of a stalk of that. But in essence, having that template was a big game changer for me. So I'll put an affiliate link below to Emma's templates if you want to check those out. But other than that, I'm really excited for you to hear this and help you make your own decisions around what website template or what website platform is best for you in this season of your business. If you don't know Emma, Emma is a brand designer, website expert, and Showit design partner for creatives, coaches, and entrepreneurial adventures, helping them transform their boring brands and bland websites into nearly magical money-making masterpieces. I can attest to that. They are beautiful. Over the past 12 years, Emma has helped over 500 businesses across the globe to create immersive online experiences that illustrate their story through both easy-to-use templates and custom designs. So let's dive into this episode. I know you're going to absolutely love it and be so inspired for what's possible for your own website. Hello, Emma. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Seriously in Business podcast. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
I'm very excited for this chat. Obviously, we were saying it before we started recording. We've spoken a lot outside of voice, like Instagram
Yeah.
DMs and emails. So it's nice to finally be chatting. And I'm so excited for what you're going to be sharing with us today. But before we dive into the fancy stuff, I would love to get to know you a little bit, just in terms of a question that I love to ask all of my audience is, what does an average day in your life and business look like? Like, from getting up to going to bed, like, I'm sure there's more to your life than just business, but what does your average day look like?
Yeah, well, once upon a time it was all business focused, but I have an almost 2-year-old little girl. So life has definitely changed, as you would know. So every day is different. But I wake up, my husband and I, we really try to wake up before she gets up so that we can have some time together and we can have our coffee or our cup of tea like uninterrupted. I feel like that's just so important to start the day like that. If I'm working on a bigger project, I will duck down to my computer to get a few things done, like a little bit of uninterrupted time before she's awake. Once she's awake, the morning is really about her. So we don't do daycare. I've just come to accept that the next, couple of years, in business will be different and it'll be a lot less of me at the computer, and I'm okay with that because I love spending time with her. So morning is normally an activity for her, to get her out. This morning we went to the library in town, so we live out of town on a property, so it's a bit of a car trip, and then in town to the library where they do like rhyme time and things like that. And getting her out is good for, she's starting to drop off her daytime nap, so if I can get her out and a little bit worn out, then I can potentially get a couple of hours of work in. So that morning is quite important, that activity. And then normally around lunchtime, if I don't like screen time, but if I can give her some lunch and pop the TV on, I can get some things done, like work-wise, things like emails and stuff like that, get it all out of the way so that my 1.5 to 2 hours post lunch when she's asleep is just about being fully creative. As you know, being a creative, like sometimes it can take a bit of time to get into the flow. So it's been a bit of a lesson, the stop and start of working. If you've only got 15 minutes, what can you do? Because often it would take me 15 minutes, half an hour just to kind of get into that flow, or I'd maybe have a look on Pinterest or kind of just get into the zone of like getting yourself ready to create before you actually jump in to doing the work. And then once she's awake in the afternoon, it's kind of dinner prep, hanging out with the animals. We have property, so we have horses and things like that, doing jobs around. And then it's a bit of that rush at the end of the day, bedtime, dinner, getting her to bed. And I like to shower before she's gone to bed so that once she's in bed, I'm already in my PJs. If I do have a little bit of work on, I'll like do an hour at the computer, and I work really well at night. I've always been like that
Yeah.
since I was young. I don't know if it's because the world feels a little bit more quieter.
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's less
I
pressure.
yeah, once upon a time, like when I was studying and things like that, I would stay up really late. But as I've gotten older, I am a bit of a nanner and I like to go to bed early. So I do need to cut it off by a certain time, like even if it's just an hour. But then I'll hang out with hubby or read. I love reading like fantasy novels, and just kind of a little bit quiet time and then bed. So it's kind of, it sounds quite boring, but it's just a balance of mum life, a little bit of work life in there. Yeah, and farm life, I guess, as well.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like, yeah, it's a bit of an insight to my life like a year ago, except you're slightly less, I feel like you've got slightly better balance with work. I remember when Marley dropped her day nap, I was like, what am I going to do? But it was okay because by the time she dropped her day nap, she was much better at playing by herself. So now I can just sit at the kitchen table and she's just playing in a lounge room, having the
Yes.
best old time of her life. And
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there happy. I'm like, cool, this is working. You just can't record like podcasts and stuff while they're
Yeah.
happily
Yeah.
playing
You've
because
got
it's a
to,
bit too risky.
yeah, you've got to pick your tasks, I think, because you don't want to kind of get too deep in the zone because you've still got to, like, I guess, watch. And because we are on property, I'm always,
Oh
she
yeah.
can't get outside, but if she's playing on the veranda, she's pretty close to opening the gates herself. So I just got to like watch and yeah, so you are quite distracted a lot, but I feel like that playing by herself is getting better. She's going through a clingy stage, so it's not great at the moment, but we will get there. And I'm just trying to just go with the flow and know that it'll right around the corner. Like she'll be in kindy, and I'll probably be wishing that she was home more. So yeah,
Yeah, there's so many different seasons. And like you just get used to one thing of like them doing this and acting like this, and the next minute they can open gates, or the next minute they're clinging, and it's like, yeah,
yeah,
it is such a I guess a surrender kind of season. But I love that you're being so present in that. So thank you for sharing that. I love it. I just love getting insights into other people's mum life, and in particular, especially obviously with my current season. So that's
yeah,
really exciting. All right, let's dive into website design, show it, all things that area. So as people may or may not know, I've recently redesigned my own website. So for 10 years, I'd been with Squarespace, and we kind of, I DIY'd at the start, and then I had a designer help me kind of, she was much better at kind of like the custom stuff, which you need to be able to be really good at on Squarespace to do fancy pants things. And then after that, I was like, I can't really edit this very well because she's done a great job and I don't want to ruin it, but I can't add a new page and it looks just as good as what she's done because I don't know how to do that. I was
yeah,
getting quite frustrated with the whole process. And I was like, you know what? I might just have a look what other options are out there. And I asked on my Instagram, and many, many business owners were saying, show it. And I was like, really? I had my doubts about show it. But I dove in and I ended up purchasing one of your templates. And I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have a template. I think I would have imploded, to be perfectly honest with you. But I
yeah,
purchased a template and I absolutely loved it. And that website is now out into the world, and it is so fun and exciting and easy for me to edit as well. And I'm flipping loving it. And so I would love to, I guess, pick your brain a little bit around. Firstly, for me, choosing Show It was, I did a lot of research on it. I was trying to work out what are its pros, what are its cons, because everything does have its pros and cons, and working
yeah.
out which ones I want to, like, which pros do I care about, which cons am I okay to let slide, and what is my priority. So I'd love to know what are some things we should be thinking about when we are choosing what website kind of builder platform we want to use.
Yeah, and it is confusing because they all kind of suit a different purpose.
Mm,
Um, so I think that's the first thing, is considering what the purpose is. Like, what do you want your website to do? So Are you primarily just selling products? Because something like Shopify will be better for that. Do you really just want to showcase your work if you're a creative? So want a creative platform to be able to kind of the sky's the limit with how you can showcase like your portfolio. Um, are you just showcasing services? Like, are you just a service-based business? Or do you want to do you have a course and need to host that course as well? Or do you have a membership? So kind of looking at what the purpose of your website is. Because like I said, selling products, like physical products, Shopify is going to be better for that. Service-based businesses, that's where Squarespace and Showit are great. Of course, Squarespace does have a shop add-on as well. There's WordPress as well, which can do kind of the sky's the limit there, but it does require a little bit more tech. And also considering like what functionality you want your website to have. So do you need to integrate like certain software with it, whether it be kind of booking software like calendar software or an external shopping cart, or are you trying to integrate like platforms that, where you have a membership or a course, platforms like Kajabi and things like that. So I think that's really important. And that's probably one thing that people notice about Showit is that it's awesome for creativity, service-based businesses, blogging. It can do all that, but they don't claim to be and are not an e-commerce platform. So there's no add-on shopping cart. You can still sell via Showit by having a third-party shopping cart, which is what I do for my
Yeah.
templates. So things like Thrivecart, that's what I use. It's great for digital products. But a lot of my clients that have Showit websites, they don't just use Showit. They have like a certain tech stack that they use to fulfill that online presence and drawing in new customers, as well as servicing the customers they have through things like courses and that. So some people might, have a tech stack that's Showit for their website. They might use Kajabi for their course or their membership, which also has a shopping cart functionality. So I'm really big on picking platforms that serve a particular purpose. So while something like Squarespace, you can have your main website. Yes, you can add on a shopping cart. Yes, you can have a blog, but do they do that well? Squarespace isn't known for its best shopping cart. So if that's really important to you, then, maybe looking at a different platform. So I think, really looking in and writing down like what your purpose is, what functionalities you need, like what do you want your website to do, and how will all those kind of tech parts move, even down to if you want to take like email subscribers and what platform you'll use. So how well does that platform work with external software? And a really important thing is how easy is it to use? So you mentioned that you're in Squarespace for a while, but it got to the point where you weren't confident with updating it or editing because you didn't want to break it, and it did need a lot of custom code to get it to where it was. So I think like how tech savvy you are, how familiar you are with website platforms. So, can you update it yourself, or will you need like to hire a designer or developer to do that for you? And of course, that costs money. So another thing would be budget. I feel like it's important to know that a website is never finished. I think that's really important for people to know when they're building their website.
Such a good call.
Yeah, because we get caught up in, oh no, I need to wait and I need to have all these pages ready. But just launch it. It's never going to be finished. You're always going to be upkeeping it. So can you afford for somebody else to do it? Or do you need to do it yourself? Which means you need to pick a platform that's easy to use and not going to leave you like pulling your hair out. So I think that's really important. So purpose, functionality, your budget, and your skill set as well. And just doing your research and knowing what each platform a website builder can do, and if that falls in line with what you want your website to do. Because sometimes Show It won't be right, or many times Shopify is like the worst platform that you could choose, if you're just using it for a service-based business. So yeah.
Yeah. Now that's some really good advice. And so obviously as someone who knows Show It quite well, could you share with us some benefits of that as a platform and why someone like what are some great reasons that we might want to choose Show It over anything else?
Yeah, I like to say that like Show It is really similar to Canva. So a lot of business owners use Canva and they find Canva super easy to use. So I feel like Show It's like the Canva of the website world. It is 100% drag and drop. So I know a lot of
Mm.
builders will claim that they have a drag and drop builder, whether it's, if you're using WordPress, and there's a lot of kind of builders that you can install into the back end of WordPress. And I know that Squarespace, I think, has their new builder out. I think it's called Fluid Engine, and it's supposed
Yeah.
to be a little bit more drag and drop. I haven't used it, but I have heard it's still not super like seamless. It's quite like blocky, and editing things in blocks and chunks, similar to, I feel like a lot of the website builders are quite similar to, I've used a few email platforms, and you're still very restricted when you're building an email. It's quite blocky and chunky, and it's not as easy just to drag. Like you go to drag something and things all shift around and get muddled up. Whereas
Yeah.
Show It is like Canva. You can grab an element, whether it be text or a shape or a photo, and like just drag it across the screen. Like,
When I saw that you could do it that way, I was like, surely there's something wrong with this to be able to do that so
yeah,
easily. Like it literally you can put anything anywhere. And I was like, I don't understand how this can actually work as a website. Like surely
I
if this
know.
was a thing, then other people would be doing it as well. But it really seems like it's mainly just Show It that allows that. Yeah, like
Yeah,
Fluid Engine is getting close in Squarespace, but it's not quite the same. It's
yeah.
not quite got that same functionality.
And I guess some people would say with Show It that's a con as well, because there's too much creative freedom. So
Yeah.
people get stuck in the design kind of world and phase of doing their website, because they can like
Do anything.
literally edit and move anything they want. I love to, and I don't know if Squarespace is different now, but I love with Show It, when I had worked in Squarespace, that Squarespace allowed you to input your brand colors and things like that, but to go deeper on a page level and change more things, like you had to do things like custom coding, whereas yes, Show It allows you to put in those kind of background brand colors and fonts, and it'll automatically update, whether you're using a template or you're starting from scratch, it'll update that for you. But then you can go into each page, each section, each element of a website and change the font size, the font color, images, like colors. Yeah, the sky is just the limit. I also really love that, and I don't know if Squarespace Fluid Engine has switched to this, but Show It allows you to build your desktop version and your mobile version independently of one another. So you can really create a version of each that's better suited for the user. So you might want to cut some stuff out on mobile so that a mobile user isn't like scrolling so much. Or if you've got something like frequently asked questions, you could change the design of that on mobile so it's, maybe kind of click to reveal
Yeah.
rather than just scrolling on through. Again, that is another con, because it sometimes feels like it's a little bit more work. You designed your website and then you might have to tweak things on mobile. But I feel like the pro of that really outweighs the con. Just
Yeah.
again, more creative freedom. The cost is kind of on par to a subscription with Squarespace. Of course, if you're using something like WordPress, it can feel like it's a bit cheaper because WordPress is free, and then you just pay for your hosting and buy your domain somewhere else. And of course, we can get really cheap hosting through something, like Crazy Domains or whatever. But Show It, like Squarespace, is you're paying a monthly or a yearly fee for website hosting. But with that comes, they've got a great team that they look after all of like the tech issues. You don't have to update that software in the back end or anything like that. And their Show It is much smaller than Show It, sorry, Showit is much smaller than Squarespace, but they have a really tight-knit community and team, and they're really great if you have to reach out to them and have any questions. So they get
Mm,
back to you very quickly.
I do. I can attest to that one. I'm like,
Yeah, and then they're real people too. It's not like a robot or anything like that. So,
yeah,
um, so I think that was just, yeah, it just blew my mind when I finally got the courage to use Showit. It was not popular here in Australia, but
mm,
I had taken websites off my services list because I was just so sick of creating websites that they I couldn't take the branding, the beautiful branding that I'd created, and um, get that online presence that matched, that vibe of the branding, because I was restricted in what I could
yeah,
do. So there was that. And then when sites were handed over to clients, they found it so hard to update. And I want to be able to hand over a site and people be confident. As much as I love working with my clients, like I want them to feel
mm,
um, like independent and not have to come back to me, because business, especially online business, moves really fast, and they don't want to have to wait to book in, and it could be like a tiny
yeah,
little text tweak or something like that. So having the confidence and not feeling like they're going to break something, that's a great thing about Showit. You can make your edits and then view it to see how it would look live before hitting publish.
mm,
Yeah,
yeah,
I just love it.
yeah,
But like I said, there are the cons, that the sky's the limit with design, or it doesn't have that add-on shopping cart, so you do have to find an external software and potentially
yeah.
pay for another software. But I feel like the pros definitely outweigh the cons.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, like some of those pros are also cons. Like for the example,
Yeah,
the mobile functionality, being able to edit that totally independently if you need to and make incredible changes on that is a really great thing, because obviously mobile, like if you look at that analytics on your website, you're like mobile is like so high at the moment, and so
yeah,
making sure that it looks incredible on mobile is really really important. But at the same time, I felt overwhelmed when I was designing it, because I was like, every now and then I'd forget the mobile page and I would flick across to the mobile version. I was like, oh my gosh, this looks like really, really, really bad. I now need to go through and fix all the mobile things, because I didn't just automatically make it look perfect. But at the same time, now it looks really great because I was able to do all those little tweaks really independently and change things and delete things. And it's once you get the hang of it and you worked out your process, your workflow, it was a
yeah.
lot better. But I think at the start that was really quite overwhelming for me to be like, all right, I think I finished a website. Oh no, I am nowhere near it, because I pretty much need to redesign that side for the
Yeah,
mobile.
yeah.
So yeah, there's
And
pros and
that's
cons
one
to those
thing.
kinds of things.
Yeah, it is hard, because I think Squarespace like probably automatically does it for you. I
Hmm.
feel like they still do that now, even with the change with Fluid Engine. Um, but yeah, you've got to weigh up those pros and cons. Like more control sometimes means a little bit more time to edit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just a thing to know and be like, all right, cool. That's just part of my process now, is I design this along with the mobile version rather than just assuming the mobile version is just going to be
yeah,
perfect automatically. I just wanted to interrupt for a moment to say that if you're enjoying this episode, I would love to invite you to my free 3-part video training to help you to create your own stunning visual brand, helping you to grow your business faster and to feel and look $1,000,000. If you're ready for the best year of business yet, then join over 1,000 business owners who have already taken part in the challenge to get started on creating your own brand. Join us today at whitedeer.com.au/challenge. That's the color white, the animal deer.com.au/challenge. Cannot wait to see you there. Let's get back to the episode. I really love the blog side of Showit as well. It's in terms of like it's got, because it's like it's underground is like WordPress. Is that
yeah. It's like Showit has, buddied up and become best friends with WordPress. So WordPress is known for being like one of the best blogging platforms, particularly with SEO.
yeah,
So that's what I love about Showit. They're like, hey, we know what we do great. We're going to team up with other platforms or tech that does what they do well. So you sign up to Showit, and if you want to blog, they take care of it all for you, but you get kind of like blogging like host plan as well, and you can design the look and the feel of
Mhm.
your main blog page and what your single blog pages look like in Showit. And then if you upload blogs, you do that in WordPress. So you log in, and we all know, if we've been in the back end of WordPress, like how clunky and just kind of icky it is. But it's like all I have to do is hit post, and I'm just uploading my blog post, and they kind of talk to each other, and the template that you created for the blog in Showit kind of like populates itself based on those posts that you upload. Like, it probably
Yeah.
sounds a little complicated, but a lot of the back end work is done by Showit.
Yep.
And of course, if you purchase a template or use one of Showit's free templates that they have, that is all set up for you, the actual look and feel of a
Yeah.
blog. So
Yeah. Yeah, I found it like it took me a moment to get my head around it, but once I did, it was like, okay, this is relatively straightforward now. And what I
yeah,
love was that as someone who had a business for 10 years and a podcast for 3 years, I had 150 blog posts already in Squarespace. And I was like, I can't make my VA re-put across all of that content. That's going to be like the most meanest thing if someone could do to someone. But then Showit does it for you. Like I just emailed them and I was like, this is my blog and this is my Showit. Can you please pop this across? And they'd obviously do some fancy back end stuff. And next
yeah,
minute, all of my blog posts were inside my
yeah,
Showit template already there. And I was like, okay, cool. That was a lot easier than I was really worried about when I
yeah.
was
So
first thinking about switching platforms.
that's a good point to make, in that if you're already on WordPress, they'll migrate everything over to like your new kind of WordPress fresh account, but they'll
Yeah.
do it as for Wix and Squarespace and other platforms like that as well. So I know a lot of people are always worried about that, particularly if their business has been mainly kind of like blogging. Um, yeah, how is that going to work? Like, do I need to re-upload like a massive amount of blogs? But you can just migrate it across, and there may be a little bit of tweaking that you might have to do, but they're really helpful, like if you need to get links correct and things like that. Like if you were to change your domain maybe with your new website,
Mhm.
there'll excuse me, there'll be a little bit of tweaking with that, but it is all doable.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. Yeah, it's been an interesting learning curve to like because it's obviously different to every platform has got its own little things, but there is lots of things that I really enjoyed about it. And like you said, like having that tech stack, like I already like was using Kartra as my program and my shop and as my email, so I didn't need that in a website platform. So sure, it was just perfect to be like, all right, I'm not going to do anything for you. I'm just going to present this website, and I get to pop and connect everything then into that I already had existing, which I found, yeah, really, really useful and just, yeah, so much. It's almost fun to make a new page now rather than feeling like, how am I going to make this look really cool and like my brand? And I think as an interesting brand, I wanted something that was going to be interesting and fun with my business rather than just kind of like plain template boringness.
Yeah, and like I said, that was a big reason why, I wanted to give up websites, a few years ago, because I just felt like the options for platforms out there, like I just wasn't doing the brands justice.
Mm,
And I'm like, if I can't, you know, tell the story online like I can in my graphics and things like that for clients, then I just don't want to do it. While clients were happy, I wasn't. And I'm a big fan of visual storytelling. And Showit has been like the key to being able to provide that for clients, and really, really unique online experiences, kind of
mm,
taking things to the next level with things like animation and like movement, more creating more immersive kind of online experiences, because there's way more competition out there now. Like there's so many people, there's so many websites, and we know that like first appearances, first impressions really matter. People are
yeah.
more time poor, their like attention span is a lot lower, so being able to capture um, the essence of your brand and what you do, and almost like if there can be a little bit of entertainment, I think, as well within a
Yeah.
website. So like that visual entertainment, like keep people intrigued, and Showit lets you do that, which I think is just awesome. So I'm a massive fan. And I love what you've created. Like, although you used a template, really the sky's the limit, and you've like edited so much. A template's great just for a starting point. So if you're a little bit nervous about like using a new platform, and sometimes starting from scratch is a little bit stressful, like, but having a template, even if you change things completely,
Yeah, just having that base there
yeah,
was so useful. I could be like, because yeah, as someone who had never used Short before, I would look at the template and be like, oh, so I can put text over there. Wouldn't have guessed that. Or that's how I make a button. Wouldn't have guessed that. Or that's how I make a testimonial slide. I wouldn't have guessed that. And there's just things that kind of were already exist in the template. I could be like, okay, so that's how that works. I'll change the color here and I'll change the font there and add in my cool element there. But beyond that, I didn't actually really need to even touch it that much, because what I did was I picked a template closest to what I thought my brand already was, and then it just kind of flowed so much easier than, yeah. And even if I've had to think I don't trying to work out if I DIY'd any pages from scratch on the website. I think I might have most pages. I think I either found another template somewhere else if it wasn't already around, or I duplicated another page, because it was just, yeah, doing something from scratch is just a whole other kettle of fish than it is to just start with a template. So I
yeah.
flip and love templates. And so how do you like what do you like how does someone decide if they want to tackle DIYing themselves, or if they want to hire a web designer?
Yeah, I think budget and your stage of business. So if you're just starting out, potentially a fully custom website isn't going to suit, because it's going to be more costly, and a more lengthy process as well. So how quickly do you need the site? Like if you've just started a business and you've started to get a few clients and you need to get something up and running, then DIY is perfect for kind of
Mm,
new businesses, even already established businesses. If you've gone through something like a rebrand and you've put a lot of money into that and it's time now for that online presence, there's nothing stopping you from using a template to kind of relaunch your website. I'm a really big believer in not going straight for a custom website. I feel like branding is super important. And if someone were to make a call on what to invest in, whether it be fully custom branding or something like the course that you offer, like where you can get some help from a professional, I always tell people like invest in that first, because the foundations are so important.
yeah, it
Um,
helps you find your own clarity rather than just 'cause a professional can ask you all the right questions, but I think we sometimes hand over too much trust to them, but they don't know you or your business, and it's going to be ever evolving at the start anyway.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, I totally
And
agree.
I won't build custom websites for a client unless they have had professional branding done and have a full kind of brand style guide that I can go off,
Mm,
or if I've created the branding for them. So if they've DIY'd their brand, I recommend using something like a template. But even in saying that, I think if I were to tell you where to invest your money first, 100% branding. Otherwise, you'll just never be happy with your website and you'll feel like it's um, like just a mishmash, I think, because that branding allows you to have
gives you the
consistency.
direction.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah,
if you don't
yeah,
have a brand, you don't one, you're going to look at the template and think, "Yeah, that looks fine. I'll just use it as is," but it's not going to be unique to you, and it's not going to tell your specific business brand story. And so
yeah,
having the direction around, all right, these are my colors, these are my fonts, this is my style, that's what's going to be able to set you apart and actually tell you what decisions to make, rather than getting stuck in that DIY, like the sky's the limit kind of loop. Having that solid branding
yeah.
first will then make sure that you don't get stuck going around in circles, because you can't, because you've actually do have rules you need to follow for your brand.
Yeah, absolutely. And while like, templates do come with, like a pre-existing color palette and fonts and things like that, that works well if you need to get off the ground quickly.
Yeah.
But I think if you can invest in branding, I think that's important to let yourself stand out in the crowd.
Yeah.
Um, And then it's also things like your level of tech skills. Like if you're not techie and you don't want anything to do with tech, then maybe it is better for you to outsource the build.
Yeah.
But I definitely think don't be afraid to DIY. There's a lot of myths around, you can always tell if a website's DIY'd, or it's really painful and it's hard. But I think if you pick the right platform, and you start with a great base like a template, then you've kind of really already got that great kickstart to build and launch your website.
Yeah. And that just made me think of a question around like, how do we pick the right template? So I don't know if you have anything to add to this, but for me, when I was picking and choosing a template, one was looking at the style. That was a big player. But another big player was, does this template offer the kind of pages that I need for my business? So I had to find a template provider, which turned out to be you,
Yeah.
that had the stuff that I needed for my sort of business, like a podcast page and like a course offering page and like an about page and like the things that I have. And so I think it's really important when you're picking a template to find something that's got as many pages as you need already within that template option, rather than just being like, oh, I really love this homepage, but oh, actually doesn't have any of the other pages that I need for my business. So
Yeah.
what do I do now?
Yeah, I think that's a great point is, picking a template that has the pages that you need. And I always tell people, I think a lot of potential customers, if they reach out, they get caught up in, oh, but I like the colors of this, or but I like the fonts of this. And great thing about Show It, sky's the limit. You can change everything. So don't worry about colors and fonts. I more tell people pick based on layout, because while yes, you can change the layout, that's going to take more time than, switching out your colors or switching out your fonts. And if you're not super confident or never built a website before or never been in the back end of a template, you may not want to mess around with switching around layouts. So I say pick based on the layouts. Like if there's a particular layout that you like, whether it be what's on the homepage or how the headers are presented, things like footers
Yeah.
and menus, those common areas that appear across an entire website. Or there might be certain like layouts of FAQs or testimonials, or even just, the general kind of style, because things like colors and fonts are the easiest thing to change, as well as your text. And my templates do come with kind of copy prompts as well. So if some of those maybe speak to you a bit more, but definitely 100% would be the layout and the pages that you need.
Yeah. Yeah. That layout point is such a good call as well. I think, yeah, it can be, if you're, yeah, because it will be so different. Like as I was going through the one I made from you, I was like, oh, cool, that's how you can do that. But I guess you could also do it like that. But actually, I'm really happy with this version. I'm glad I chose this, but
Yeah.
I didn't really know at the time all of the different decisions I was making around it, because I didn't know what was possible in Show It. But I guess if you find a good template, then you can know that if it's been built really well and robustly, and the mobile version is just as great as the normal version, all those things, and hopefully you'll be able to actually create a really great design off that and edit it to be what you need it to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, so if someone wants to join Show It or join some of your templates, what kind of like what kind of templates do you have, and like who are they for?
So my templates have been created for like service-based businesses, kind of like online entrepreneurs. So not so much people selling products and that, because Show It isn't the best suited platform for that. So service-based, people with online profiles that have things like podcasts, course creators, so those kind of people. And I have a range of styles. They've kind of got their own persona, and that's made up of their colors and their fonts, the layouts that each template use, as well as the copy prompts. So I've created them so that almost as though, they have their own persona. They've been created for a make-believe online entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And they each suit different styles of business. So while I do have one template that's specifically for photographers, so it's got things like galleries, a portfolio, then I have others that are maybe more suited for people that like a more pared back website, so not super bright colors. So Audrey's great for that. But then again, I recently did a template customization using Audrey for a brand that is super, super colorful. So just the sky is definitely the limit with them. And I've even got a template Lola. So she's, for anyone starting out, that while you were looking for a lot of pages and you might have a
Mm.
lot of content, so my templates have been built with longer pages. So there is more layout options if you've got sales pages or you need more of a sales page style for your services page, for example. Like you've got a lot of information that you want to put in there.
Yeah.
There might be businesses that don't want to be overwhelmed with having to write a lot of copy for a new website. So I've got a template called Lola. She's a little bit more pared back and her pages are much shorter and
Mm.
there are less pages. So there's more, the more crucial pages like homepage, about, services, contact, and blog. So that kind of thing. So there's definitely something for everyone. And they also come with so I've created, like, I guess, a base brand for them with a color hierarchy, with a font hierarchy. For those who don't have branding, they can just get straight in and type their name into where the logo is. And they've come with a whole image gallery that's been kind of collated to suit that look and that feel.
Yeah.
And then the great thing is with my templates, everyone gets, as a bonus, I've created this style kit that if people did want to change things, but they don't have professional branding, but they don't know where to start, because choosing a color palette, you could spend hours and hours on Pinterest. So I have created a bunch of like pre-designed color palettes to choose from, as well as free fonts, are all created in different font hierarchy. So if someone
Mm.
purchases templates, but like, I want to switch this up a little bit, they can choose a color palette and there's instructions on how to input that. They can choose a font structure, they can input that. And I've created all these pre-curated image galleries of free stock images that suit each color palette in that style kit. So you're already set to go with images. Like if you haven't been able to afford to go and have a bunch, like a big branding shoot, or have a bunch of headshots taken, you've got images that suit this new color palette that you're going to input into a template. So I've tried to make it as easy as possible and to suit people who are like 100% DIY. They don't have the branding foundations, or people that have invested in the branding foundations and want to kind of pop that into a template as well.
Yeah. And I also love that you had with it like some basic tutorials as well of even how to do all of the things. Like for someone who hadn't used Short before, it was like, okay, cool. I can just go into this thing that Emma's shared with me and I can see, oh, this is how I do this, or this is how I edit this part.
Yeah, so each template comes with a video library, and not a lot of other template creators do this, but it takes a little bit more time for me. But I actually will record videos of me giving you a tour and showing you how to edit things specifically in that template.
Yeah.
There's some other things like how a blog works, and maybe how to turn like a video into a GIF to upload or whatever. Like they're more generic videos. But I know that when I've been learning techie things, I'm a more visual person. So if I can see or be shown how to do something that is in what I'm actually using, it's much easier.
Yeah.
And I find I can see what people have viewed. And to be honest, most people only watch that first kind of tour of show it in that template that they've purchased, and a base of basic, like, this is where this is how you do this. And they get the hang of it, and no one really goes on to watch many more videos. And Show It has an amazing library of
I did find that too. Yeah.
tutorials. Like it's really good. Um, Plus they're great for asking, for help and things like that. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think you've got a really good base there with the tutorials that I create, as well as the
Sure
huge
ones.
library that Show It has.
Yeah, that's so, so true. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom and knowledge around like website building and designing and Show It. If we want to get in touch with your world, how can we connect with you?
So you can find me at my own online home, which is emmatroy.com.au. You can find me on Instagram at emmatroydesign. If you want to try Show It for free, they have a 14-day trial, and you can do that as well as grab a demo page from any of my templates. So if you're not sure which one to choose, you want to see what your branding fits better with. If you just head to emmatroy.com.au/demo, and you'll be sent a demo guide to sign up to Show It free for 14 days. Give it a whirl, see if you like it. I think it's always better to try before you buy, particularly with tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember whenever I try tech, I'm like, oh, should I feel like I've just put so much effort into the trying. I might as well just buy it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's so good. And then obviously if you're just trying it, then you get an extra 14 days for free. So why would you not do that? It's like
Absolutely.
win-win.
And as a Show It design partner, anyone that snags a template will get their first month free with Show It. So that's always a nice incentive as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us today. I so appreciate your insights there. And yeah, I'm sure many people will be jumping into Show It now, seeing what it's like inside.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed that one as much as I did. It was just, yeah, so nice to actually chat with Emma after purchasing all of her templates and talking with her online. And I hope that you really loved it. Again, if you want to purchase or try out one of Emma's own templates, check out the link in the show notes, and you can kind of get started and maybe give Show It a try. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next week for an episode. Bye.